Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Digital Health Entrepreneurship. On this show, we've talked a lot about telemedicine and how it's changing our culture, how it's changing how people and patients interact with the healthcare system. But one thing we haven't talked a lot about is what does that look like for the physician? What does telemedicine look like for the provider? So, Lawrence, could you give us some insight into this? Because obviously, I mean, you have a network of 6,000 physician providers. So what does this experience of delivering telemedicine look like for a physician?
Well, for many of the consultations, it's just an urgent care style appointment where someone might have a minor concern and they might be wondering if, they need to go to the emergency room, and the doctor might say, you don't have to go to the emergency room. And so they prevent, a multi-thousand-dollar expense with an unnecessary emergency room visit. Or it could be that someone has, the flu, and the doctor prescribes a prescription like Tamiflu, for example, and the person picks it up from their local pharmacy or gets it delivered. In the case of COVID MD, our physicians are going to be able to order lab testing so someone can get an at-home test kit to verify if they have COVID-19 or not. But basically, physicians would set their availability to offer telemedicine consultations. They might say, I'm free from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday, and then patients would request appointments with them, and the doctor would do a video call on Zoom. They would write a clinical note. We're actually looking to integrate a technology where it would listen to the conversation between the doctor and the patient and write the clinical note for them. And then the doctor would use ePrescribe to write any prescriptions and be paid on a per consultation basis. So most physicians do this kind of part-time, but in the future, we might even have some physicians that do this full-time as well.
You say that physicians get paid per consultation. How exactly do they get paid? For me, like the health industry payment aspect is a cluster F, to be real.
Yeah. And basically, we would submit insurance claims to an insurance plan or Medicare based on what happened. So you have diagnosis and procedure codes that indicate to the payer what happened. But basically, we just pay them a per consultation fee. It's probably going to be $30 for a very short 10 or 15-minute consultation, and then more for longer consultations. But they don't have to worry about any of the billing because we have a billing department that will be doing that.
Is that worth it for doctors? Like, are you having to convince doctors of doing this, or especially since it's like part-time, like what's really what's the draw in the pull for doctors and physicians to be doing these quick, 30 minutes or $30 here, $30 there consults?
Well, I mean, it can add up, right? I mean, you could be earning $120 an hour or maybe even more depending on how long these consultations are. So, it can add up. And I think a lot of physicians do it because they want to just help patients and they want to have a social impact, but they're definitely getting paid as well. And so I think it's a combination of wanting to earn some extra income. I mean, hey, if you earned $5,000 doing telemedicine in a year, that's a nice trip to Disney World. So,
Yeah.
or Hawaii or whatever place you like to go. But also, I mean, you could also pay your credit card bills down too, or your medical, your student loans for medical school, perhaps.
Sure.
But it's
buy a Peloton.
You could. But I had one of our doctors ask Peloton if they would provide a discount to healthcare workers during the pandemic, and they refused. Just to put that out there. Anyway, but I think that it is a real income stream. I mean, there's some physicians that do telemedicine, 20 hours a week, where at $100 an hour, that'd be $2,000 a week or $8,000 a month. So, I mean, some physicians are earning serious money doing telemedicine.
Right. And so, like, our physicians, do they just go to Google and say, I want to provide telemedicine, or do they log into Zoom and invite their friends, or like, where do they actually go if physicians want to get involved with telemedicine companies?
Most of them have a credentialing process. So you could go on our website, covidmd.com, and click Become a Telemedicine Provider. And you would go through a credentialing process where we verify who you are and that kind of thing. And then you would indicate your schedule in the software, but that's the first step is to go through the credentialing process.
I know this is a Fruit Street centric podcast, but I'm really curious. You know, when you get in a shared car, shared taxi, and it's got a Lyft sticker and an Uber sticker and et cetera, et cetera. Do the telemedicine providers, that some of them who sign up with Fruit Street, do they also moonlight with this other telehealth company, this other telehealth company? Just curious if
Yeah,
there's any monogamy or.
most of them do work for multiple companies. We're planning to have a Zoom background that has the COVID MD logo on it, so that it looks like you're like in an office and you're kind of professional. That's our Uber or Lyft sticker, I guess.
Do they have to be? And like, I mean, is there any guidelines for telemedicine companies to say like you should be in an office, or like is it okay if physicians are sitting on their couch while giving you advice?
I mean, they definitely shouldn't be in a Starbucks with no headphones on where they can, other people can hear your sensitive healthcare information.
Right.
So it should be in a place that's private where it's only the physician that can hear what's going on.
God, I wonder how they can confirm that. I wonder how that could be enforced or.
We do have to trust our physicians in society. Use common sense.
So you've got 6,000 physicians. Has there been an enormously fast like uptick or like onboarding of physicians in the last few months, or is it?
Yeah, we've had 6,000 apply to work for us.
Okay.
Because of COVID-19, every physician in the country, well, not every single one, but a lot of them want to do telemedicine. I read something like the majority of healthcare is being delivered through telemedicine at the peak of COVID-19.
So how do physicians specifically get involved? They just apply, they get credentialed. Actually, no, different question. Is it hard for your company and your the leadership team to manage so many physicians?
Yeah, I mean, they all want to know when the service is launching at scale and that kind of thing. We do things like we have a weekly lunch and learn where we do some educational topic on Thursdays where they can kind of learn about telemedicine and that kind of thing. But definitely managing the network is a critical full-time job. So you have to keep your physicians informed, educated, trained, happy, and that kind of thing.
And what software do you use to like keep in constant contact with everyone? Is it just the old-fashioned email? Like, what is it?
We used to have a digital forum set up for the telemedicine providers, like we do with our investors, but then we realized that we haven't really met many of these telemedicine providers. And like Teladoc wouldn't give one Teladoc physician the ability to send a message to all 6,000 Teladoc physicians, right? So that backfired. So we've just shifted back to one-to-one email communications.
Huh.
Yeah, and a little bit of Zoom webinars where we invite them to kind of join these Zoom webinars as well. Yeah.
Yes, and are any of the other telemedicine companies out there inviting their physicians to be investors or be on advisory boards? Because you do have several hundred that are advisors to the company and that are actually a part of seeing the company grow. So is that something that's unique to Fruit Street, or are other telemedicine companies doing some similar things?
And most of the big telemedicine companies are backed by private equity and venture capital firms. The unique thing about Fruit Street is that it's a grassroots effort of physicians that want to have a social impact in public health using telemedicine.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great, and I think it's amazing. And we've talked often about how unique it is that a lot of the decisions are being made, they're made by you and made by your leadership team, but they're very heavily influenced by a community of physicians, which is huge. So this has been interesting to learn more about what it looks like from the provider's perspective to be involved in telemedicine. So thanks for sharing, Lawrence. Hey there. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode where we got to talk about the experience of being a telemedicine provider. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please subscribe and take a look at some of our other videos. And if you're listening to this on any podcasting platform, head to ratethispodcast.com/digital. That is the absolute best way to get this podcast in front of other people, is to leave a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, if you haven't listened to some of our recent episodes, go and take a look. We've done recent episodes with Lawrence talking about things like mistakes that startups make while raising money, when entrepreneurs should sue people, and even talking about things like how to design a software product. We're very excited that you're here, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Digital Health Entrepreneurship Daily.